John Lynch, when asked if Jimmy Garoppolo could be on the team this year, he's like, "Oh yeah, you don't just give away a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. They can absolutely foot the bill with him on the roster this year, which makes me feel like I might win this bet with you." What do you think of him saying that?
First of all, he said he didn't. I don't think he said he's a good quarterback. He said he's a good player.
Good player.
He didn't say he's a great player.
No.
So when you say he's a good player, it's a C+, B-. You say he's a good player.
Yeah.
You can say that about a lot of people, that he's a good player.
Yeah.
So he didn't ring his praises.
Nope.
I want to say I don't think he'll be on the roster, but if he's on the roster, they got danger. I mean, in fact, if he's on the roster for the first game, it's a disaster. And I want to tell you why for a couple of reasons. One, no matter what John Lynch says, you got to split in the locker room. The young guys are going to be all for Trey Lance.
Yes.
And the older guys are going to be all for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Of course.
And that's not how you want to walk onto the field for your first game.
No.
But then there's something else. We don't know a thing about Trey Lance, in spite of what John Lynch alleges.
Yeah.
He could go out and he could be gangbusters. He could be Mahomes from the start. But there could come a time early in the season where he goes out and really does bad in the first half.
That's likely. He's started 2 games. I mean, he's essentially a rookie. That's likely.
And going into the third quarter, the Niners could be down, and then the other team could score early in the third quarter. Trey could throw a pick. All of a sudden, they bring in Jimmy because they have to, because they need to win. You need to win, try to win every game. Yep. Well, the minute you do that, if that happens, you may have lost Trey Lance. You may have crushed him.
Right.
Crushed him.
Right.
And so
can't unring that bell, right?
Can't unring it. So having Jimmy, as a safety net is a potential threat and a potential crusher to the kid. That's among the reasons they need to get rid of him.
Right. They're trying to sell it like this takes pressure off of us and Trey because he's got a great backup. This just multiplies the pressure.
Yeah.
Multiply. You throw one bad pass, every single thing you do will be scrutinized because, again, Jimmy is above criticism in the eyes of a lot of people because they win with him. Why question it, right? He's the quarterback. You win. It works. So Trey better win. And if not, it's because he threw this one pass too hard, or this one didn't have a good spiral, or that decision was terrible, or this mistake was unforgivable. And Jimmy's got to get back in there when Jimmy is allowed to essentially make mistakes too. It's just that he wins. So yeah, Trey will be held to an impossible standard because it seems to me that as long as Jimmy's here, people could say Jimmy would have made that throw every time Trey Lance misses. Jimmy would have made that. Defense would be playing better if Jimmy was on the team. Jimmy was on the field. So I don't think you want that, the constant second guessing.
No. So what the pressure, among the other things, the pressure on Trey Lance is he's got to come out and be really polished from the start.
Right. And that's tough because he played 1 year in college at a 2 Division II school. He didn't play in 2020. He didn't play in 2021. Maybe if the Niners wanted him to be the starter this year, they would have started him 7 or 8 games last year, like Bill Walsh did with Joe Montana the year.
Or brought him in for certain packages.
Yeah.
Test him out.
Blowouts last year. He could have came in and done something.
Yeah. And so the fact that they didn't do it, they didn't show foresight. They didn't show wisdom. Again, This front office, the leadership, they may be very bright people. They may know certain things, and they may be very nice people, but they don't have big vision. When I wrote a book on Bill Walsh, one of the people I quoted said that Bill had the widest vision ever. It was like the widest screen. I don't believe these people do. I believe I'm sorry, I believe they're looking in a little phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yes. And this thing, like, I want to draw one parallel before we move on. The Jimmy thing and the Debo thing. I think they're related. With Jimmy, the Niners are saying, on the one hand, you're not good enough. We want Trey Lance. And we wanted Trey Lance so bad that we traded all this stuff for. We really were dying to move on from you. You're not good enough. And then they turn around and say, we're trading Jimmy, but we want a lot because he's a good quarterback. You don't just give away. He's a good player. So, like, they're trying to have it both ways. You're not good enough, but when we turn around and we try to trade you, we're going to say you're good, like as if teams are stupid. Like, what they don't see what you did with Trey Lance. They don't see how you've acted toward Jimmy Garoppolo. They really think you can tell people that he's good and set the price for him. That's ridiculous. And then with Debo, you're essentially saying you're not worth what you think you're worth. We're going to hold a hard line and say that you haven't proven yourself. And then we're going to say in a trade, you're worth a king's ransom and you're elite and we can't let you go. Like, and so in both cases, you're just holding on to a guy, just holding on to him, and you're not doing anything. You're not trading him for anything. Jimmy could be on the bench. Deebo Samuel could hold out. Like, what are you really accomplishing here? It seems to me strange.
I'll tell you something else. Some really good front offices, Rams, Packers, Patriots, Dallas, they're looking at what's going on with the Niners. And of course they talk about it. There's not that many teams. They talk about it. You think they're saying, wow, the Niners are having a great offseason. Think they're sitting in LA, the Rams are saying, I'm really scared. They're having a hell of an offseason. You know, they just hit a grand slam. They're not saying
watch out for the 49ers. Here they come.
No, they're saying, oh my God, this is what they did. And this is what's still happening.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they're laughing at the Niners.
I think the league is laughing at the 49ers right now.
Yeah,
I do.
You think the Patriots? You think Belichick is saying, boy, I wish I could model myself after John Lynch.
Everyone watch what the Niners are doing this offseason because that's the blueprint. Who is in their front office? Who can we poach from this team to do that here?
Right.
We need someone who alienate our best offensive players. I mean, to me, it's like either you want Debo, and either he's elite and he's worth 2 first-round picks, in which case just give him the money and don't let it come to this. It never should have came to this. If he's worth so much to you, pay him and move on. If you want to do this, trade him and move on. But the Niners, they get into petty squabbles with their players, and I think it's very dramatic. Thank you. It gives us something to talk about on the channel.
I'll tell you who thinks they're doing – hold on a second. I'll tell you who thinks they're doing a good job. Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's over there in Florida like, hey, I mean, they're better than us. Who are we to say? They pass judgment. Yeah, Jacksonville's like, oh, we can do that. Oh, okay. No, I think what's funny is I think Jacksonville is like You know who runs Jacksonville? Trent Baalke.
Oh my God!
And do you know why the wide receiver market is out of whack? Baalke. He signed the first wide receiver this offseason. His name was Christian Kirk. He was like a backup on the Cardinals. Gave him $18 million a year, Baalke. And then everyone else had to give more. So Baalke's laughing like, ha ha, now you can't sign Deebo Samuel because I screwed up the market. Ha ha. Pretty funny.
One day we ought to have a whole show devoted to Trent Baalke stories.
The legend. He was the only person that could have been a worth mouthpiece. The Niners have had some really bad mouthpieces for the organization since Carmen Policy left. And Carmen was the most charming person of all time.
Carmen is such a mensch. I love Carmen Policy.
Yeah.
I love her.
The coach says this entire York outfit is coming off fraudulent. Honesty is an expensive gift that you can't expect from cheap people. The fiscal issues are systemic. It's low rent and classless to have so much money and be notoriously cheap. Well, wasn't that Bill Walsh's kind of feeling? I mean, didn't you write about that in your book, that he was sort of like, hey, man, I mean, they took away the car. Didn't you write about that?
Yeah.
They're cheap. They cut corners.
According to Bill, Coach, thanks for your comment. According to Bill, when he was no longer with the organization, he had John York's secretary called him, said, John wants to have lunch with you. Bill thought John wanted his expertise, his advice on something about the 49ers. And according to Bill, at the lunch, John said, you're still driving a company car, right? And Bill said, yeah. And he says, you can't do that. We need the car back. We need the keys. And Bill called me up. His voice was shaking. And he said, he did it again. He did it again. He humiliated me again. He said he just could have had the secretary call and say, Bill, could you drop off the keys? Not invite me to lunch and humiliate me face to face. That was the story Bill told me.
Okay, so the Yorks have a history of inviting you to lunch and humiliating you face to face. I'm just
Well,
saying maybe
that's what
maybe
Bill
maybe
said he
Debo
did
has
to
a
him.
leg to stand on here. I'm just saying maybe Debo has a leg to stand on here. Dad, if you were a young 26-year-old wide receiver and other teams were saying, let me pay you $30 million a year and you had to do business with Parag and Jed, you might be like, you know what? Trade me. Thanks. I'm out. This is not fun. Not fun.
I got it. I got
You
it.
know, Jacob says, don't forget Trey's been working out all offseason and Jimmy's been at Hooters just saying, play the damn kid. Oh, man.
Hey, Iggy, have you ever gone to a Hooters?
No. Where is Hooters? How do you walk in there with the straight face and be like, yeah, I'm a normal person?
Here's the thing. I don't even know if there is a Hooters. I've never been. If there's a Hooters in the Bay Area, because it's there are certain policies, politics, and maybe you couldn't really do well with a Hooters here.
I don't think there's. I've never driven past a Hooters, so I don't.
No,
This is
Jimmy
the kind of thing that would be in like Georgia, or I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was there was one near the Masters in Georgia. Checks out. Sounds about what I would expect.
Okay,
so if you want to play in the Masters, you get a little wings on the side. Kyle Shanahan should ask for a trade, says D Wood 7300. Kyle, why? He's got a lifetime contract. M Niner says if Trey misses a deep throw, no one will say Jimmy would have made that throw. Well, you got a point. That's true.